So we're going to talk about vitamin C, also known as ascorbic acid tonight. And 50% of the people who die in the Western industrialized nations die because of vitamin C deficiency. Vitamin C was around long before the formation of the earth, or at the formation of the earth, should I say, and was present, and human life or any life couldn't have been possible, would not have been possible if it wasn't for vitamin C. So it's been around so long, it's very unlikely that it'll be toxic for our bodies. Now, animals, or most animals, can form their own vitamin C. They make their own vitamin C in their bodies. And unfortunately, humans and a few animals are unable to synthesize vitamin C in the body. So our ancestors used to live on a diet high in raw food and vegetables, which wasn't cooked. So the vitamin C levels were extremely high. But we lost our ability to form ascorbic acid in our bodies. We lost the actual gene that was used to form it, and we'll never get it back. So we always have to get our vitamin C from diet and from supplements. Now, unfortunately, vitamin C causes scurvy and death. So it's a huge price that mankind has had to pay. The price has been a deficiency which has caused death and suffering for years. And ascorbic acid is something that we have had a problem with for so long. Now, sailors years ago would sail away from England and Europe and wherever on their tall ships, and they needed many, many sailors when they left England or Europe. The reason they had to carry approximately double the sailors that they needed was that they lost approximately half the sailors before they returned because of scurvy. Now, scurvy was a terrible disease, and it would cause the flesh to fall right off the bones. So it was actually quite a problem. So they didn't know what the cause of this was, and they were eating a diet low in vitamin C. But in 1757, we had James Lind. Now, James Lind was a Scottish doctor, and he carried out the first clinical trial ever in the history of humankind. And what he found was that if you use lemons and limes, that vitamin C was not a problem, scurvy was not a problem anymore, because the vitamin C or ascorbic acid was increased in the body. So he managed to persuade the British Royal Navy to carry in their grog limes. And these limes saved the sailors, and the British Navy or Royal Navy became the healthiest navy in the world for a period of time. And it's quite interesting that even today, the word limey is used for the British or the English. And that's because of the limes that they used to carry on their ships when they sailed out from the UK. So what we know is that because we don't synthesize it in our bodies, we find that we have to get it from diet and supplementation. There is no other possibility. Now, just two different sources. We've got buffered vitamin C, and buffered vitamin C is a product which is not ascorbic acid alone, but it's buffered with calcium. So it's called calcium ascorbate, actually. And this is advantageous because it doesn't cause acidity in the body. And we know that our body should be slightly alkaline. And taking plain ascorbic acid, which is very cheap, is a problem because it causes our bodies to become alkaline. Acidic. But with the buffering of the calcium, we don't have this acidity problem. So, it's an important antioxidant, and it's used in just about every process in the body. It's beneficial to many biochemical processes. 50% of proteins in our body use biological reinforcement molecules, which are vitamin C. So it adds hydrogen and oxygen to the amino acids and therefore forms collagen molecules. And that's our connective tissue. So without the connective tissue, we've got a huge problem, because what scurvy was when the sailors had sailed out was a breakdown of the connective tissue. And the connective tissue would break down and their flesh would fall off their bones. Their teeth would fall out and they would just die after a very, very painful process. Their ligaments, the teeth, the organs were all found that they had a breakdown of the cartilage. So adequate vitamin C is absolutely vital for every process. And if you don't have a proper amount of vitamin C, your ligaments, etc., will break down. So you get joint problems, skin problems, etc. Even with high doses or low doses of vitamin C, up to 500 milligrams, you get a 42% risk, a lower risk of death from heart disease. That's 42% lower risk from heart disease death. And a 35% lower risk of all-cause death. Now, vitamin C is one of the safest substances around. Now, some conditions we can look at. That's adrenal exhaustion is the first one we're going to look at. Now, the adrenal glands are placed on just above the kidneys. They're small glands, but they produce very important chemicals or hormones, DHEA and cortisol. Now, if they're not functioning correctly, then there is a massive problem, because the cortisol increases, so the stress increases, and the DHEA, which is your master sex hormone, will decrease. So they can't both be produced at the same time. And with that depletion, the vitamin C, if it's lowered, the stress increases dramatically and tremendously. So low vitamin C can cause huge stress issues in the actual body. Next one we're going to look at is cholesterol. Now, this is quite an interesting one. And cholesterol is something that people fear because, as I said right in the beginning, 50% of people die because of low vitamin C. And the 50% who die from heart disease alone, let alone the cancers, etc. Now, cholesterol is formed in the blood vessels, and that cholesterol is normally called LDL and HDL. Now, LDL is bad cholesterol, they say, and HDL is good cholesterol. Now, LDL is actually the cholesterol that is believed to be dangerous, and because it causes plaque in the arteries. Now, that plaque in the arteries is caused not because of any other reason than there is an actual problem with the arteries. So LDL is not really a problem. It's actually a repair mechanism for the body. So it's actually busy repairing the blood vessels which have broken down, because what happens is you get low-level scurvy in the arteries. And when you get low-level scurvy in the arteries because of low vitamin C, you get thousands and thousands of cracks and lesions in the arteries. And these cracks and lesions cause the veins to become floppy. Now, thousands of times a day, even up to 100,000 times a day, blood pumps and surges through the arteries and veins. And it's a little bit like a hose pipe. If you have a hose pipe that's got cracks and lesions, it becomes floppy and it can break down. So the liver gets a signal to generate more cholesterol, and that is actually your repair cholesterol, which is your LDL. So if you've got high LDL, it's not a matter of taking a statin or some other drug to suppress this. It's more a matter of it's going into repair the actual broken down arteries. So, and floppy arteries. So it goes out, repairs the floppy arteries, but unfortunately cholesterol is very sticky. And being sticky, what happens is it actually forms plaque, which clog up the arteries, as you can see in the image on the screen right now. And slowly but surely, if you don't take vitamin C, then they will clog the arteries completely. And what the general medical idea is to either use statins or to do bypass surgery. Now, bypass surgery is not really a fix. It opens up the arteries, but it doesn't repair the actual problem. And the problem is low vitamin C. So low vitamin C causes low-level scurvy in the arteries, and one has to fix it in a way, and that way is to repair by increasing the vitamin C or ascorbic acid in the body and in the arteries, which then begins to repair the walls of the arteries. Once that's repaired, we still have a sticky problem with the cholesterol. So then we need two other amino acids called lysine and proline to repair the connective tissue, and they act like Teflon. And the Teflon type substance makes the cholesterol less sticky, so it opens up the arteries. We also have to use some form of chelation, where we chelate the actual blood vessels, and it removes the cholesterol. So chelation, we have a product called Chelation Remedy, which is extremely good at this, but you need to do vitamin C, lysine and proline, which we have a product called Blood Vessels. And the arteries become clean after a few months normally. Obviously, diet is important in this thing as well. So as the diet improves, the vitamin C increases, and use magnesium, it cuts down that 50% death rate, which is the largest all-cause cause of death in the Western world. We also would add magnesium to that, so that would be extremely important. So cholesterol is also made harmless and turned into bile acids by vitamin C. So your cholesterol is not a problem if you take adequate amounts of vitamin C and adequate amounts of magnesium, proline, and do some chelation to get it out of the system. So that's very important. So this is what actually happens: heart disease and stroke. And with heart disease, as you can see, on the screen, there's a blood vessel. It's got a plaque buildup. It's got cracks and lesions, and you get clogging of the coronary arteries, which cause heart attacks, or else you get clogging of the brain arteries, which causes stroke. So these are some of the serious and major problems. I think it's sometimes worse to be disabled in your after a stroke because you have all kinds of problems if it's a serious stroke. Right, the common cold. You know, they say there's no cure for the common cold. Now, the common cold really lasts normally about 6 days. And there are two possibilities as to what causes the so-called common cold. The one is a viral infection. And the viral infection is normally dealt with very, very quickly with vitamin C. Now, Linus Pauling won the Nobel Prize for his research into vitamin C. And in a double-blind study, he used 100 milligrams of vitamin C or ascorbic acid, and he reduced the incidence of common cold by 45% in a double-blind study. So this is part of the research that he did for receiving his Nobel Prize. But he also reduced the duration of the cold by 63%. So 63% reduction in the actual severity is quite amazing. He also did experiments with 10,000 milligrams per day. Now that's 10 grams. Now, not everybody can take 10 grams of vitamin C a day because it could cause diarrhea, which is something we'll get onto later. But the incidence of colds and flu dropped by 90% in his studies, 90% by taking 10,000 milligrams per day. And the symptoms decreased by 85%. So I think you'd agree that that's quite an amazing drop. And with Linus Pauling winning the Nobel Prize, I believe that he was taking 70 grams a day of vitamin C every day. Now, remember, vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin. Being a water-soluble vitamin, what's not used is flushed out of the body. But there is something that we need to know, and that's that there is a bowel tolerance test. How much vitamin C should one take per day? The question is, how much bowel tolerance does one have to vitamin C? Some people can't take very much because they have diarrhea with fairly low amounts of vitamin C, whereas others can take much higher dosage of vitamin C. So the way you decide or check how much vitamin C you can take is by increasing the vitamin C on a daily basis until you have diarrhea. Once you have diarrhea, then you drop back just below the diarrhea and you're at the correct dosage of vitamin C. So with a dosage where you're just below diarrhea, you know that you're getting the correct amount. And once again, it's completely harmless and it's water soluble. So what isn't used is flushed out of the system. So colds and flus can be helped tremendously. Now, it's also anti-aging. So a decline in collagen production is a real problem, which is what we saw. You get low-level scurvy and in the blood vessels, but you also get it on the skin. So when you have it on the skin, then what happens is you get wrinkles. You've noticed that smokers often have a lot of wrinkles, and that's because of collagen production or collagen breakdown. So it makes your skin, low vitamin C makes your skin more susceptible to sagging and bruising and wrinkles, etc. So it's very important to take the correct amount of vitamin C so that you can look young for longer. You can always look at a person's face and you can see if there are a lot of wrinkles, then it means one of a few things. They might not be taking their vitamin C, or they could be smokers. But obviously with age, it will slowly catch up with one. But there is a drooping of the skin over a period of time. So that's what happens. And if you don't take your correct dosage of vitamin C, you'll look a lot older than your years. So that's very important. Cancer. Cancer is a huge problem today. It's second only to heart disease in deaths in the Western world. And obviously there are many causes of cancer. Cancer can be caused by emotions. Often emotions trigger cancer. And as emotions trigger cancer, so we find that it can be stress. And we saw that vitamin C is very, very prominent in stress because the adrenal glands are assisted by vitamin C. And we know that the adrenal glands, pound for pound, carry more vitamin C than any other gland in the body. So with, first of all, emotional causes of cancer, obviously one has to clear the emotion, because what happens is you can have either high stress for long periods of time, which can trigger cancer, but the conditions or the terrain of the body has to be correct for cancer to form. So even though some people could have a shock conflict, which is something unexpected, it's traumatic, it's isolating, as you can't get the energy out and you have no plan to deal with it. One person could have a shock conflict or high stress and they don't get cancer. And another person could have exactly the same thing and they get cancer. Now, what happens is the heart communicates with the brain energetically, and the brain forms energy rings in the area that controls certain organs. And those energy rings are visible on MRI scans. It's just that radiologists don't know how to read them. They just say they don't mean anything, but they actually do mean a lot. And then the brain sends a signal down to a particular organ, which is related to that, to the type of stress or shock conflict. So if it was a mother-daughter or daughter-mother conflict, it might be the breast because of nurturing, or the uterus, whatever it might be. But if the conditions are good in the body, in other words, the terrain is good, so you've got high vitamin C, you've got good collagen, etc., you probably won't get cancer. But if you've got a terrain that's susceptible to cancer, then it's a massive, massive problem. So what happens is the collagen needs to be very strong in a cancer situation, because for a cancer to form, if the collagen is strong, it holds the embryonic or the minute cancer cell in position. The cancer cell can't grow. It can't grow new blood vessels, which are necessary for cancer. And if your collagen is correct and strong, cancer can't grow, because we all form cancer cells every single day. But if our immune system is strong, our collagen is strong, the cancer cells are taken care of very, very, very quickly. So every day we have cancer, but every day we fix it, unless we have a breakdown in collagen and possibly heavy metals, etc., in the body, which cause us to form these cancer cells and the cancer to grow. So one can have cancer cells held by the collagen for years and years and years. Suddenly the vitamin C drops. We have a diet low in vitamin C. We don't take our vitamin C, then the cancer will form and grow very, very quickly. So one can go for a scan one day and a few weeks later go for another scan, and you could have had a shock, conflict, something like that, or high stress at work is another fact that affects the immune system. The immune system could have dropped and the connective tissues weak, then cancer can form very, very, very easily and often does. So it acts as a chemotherapy agent, vitamin C. If you take high levels or high doses of vitamin C, even if you do have cancer, in many cases, it can even cure the cancer or drive the cancer away. So vitamin C, for example, is used as a chemotherapy agent when it's done intravenously or even orally. But obviously one has to be aware of the bowel tolerance of the actual person. So improvement in collagen will keep cancer at bay. Right, stress is another factor which we spoke about a little bit just now, but vitamin C is probably one of the most important chemicals needed for dealing with stress. Stress depletes vitamin C in the adrenal glands, and we spoke a little bit about that, but there are inorganic poisons that vitamin C can solve, because there are three causes: physical, chemical, and psychological stress. So these different causes need to be dealt with, and vitamin C is one of the best causes. For instance, stress can be caused by arsenic poisoning, heavy metals, and even smoke, snake venom, etc. And that can stress the body and stress the person tremendously. Now, luckily, vitamin C is an excellent chelator of toxins in the body, and it can actually neutralize them so that they become harmless, and it makes them less toxic, and they can be excreted from the body. Now, there's physical stress as well. For instance, radiation. If one is in an area where there's a lot of radiation, could be cell phone towers, could be cell phones, it could be radiation from a nuclear leak, it could be a number of different forms of radiation. So 10 grams when doing per day, when doing radiation for cancer, can reduce the hair loss and the nausea tremendously. So taking vitamin C during or after radiation it could be very, very helpful. As I said, nuclear fallout causes free radicals, and in the body. Living under power lines causes free radicals. So taking vitamin C, being an antioxidant, it neutralizes those the free radicals in the body. So that is hugely important, and that's why if we follow a good diet and supplement with vitamin C, one person can live under a power line or keep his cell phone right next to his ear day in and day out and not have the possible effects from the radiation. And another cause of stress is histamine releasing conditions, such as snake and insect bites, plant poisons, burns, eating food that you're allergic to, that causes an increase in histamine. Now, histamine is something that you could buy an antihistamine for, but obviously the side effects to most, or if not all, pharmaceutical drugs. So this is a natural antihistamine. So it's very, very important that that we should be taking it. And we talk about allergic reaction. So allergic reaction can be helped tremendously with taking high doses of vitamin C. We could eat something that we're allergic to. We could brush against poison ivy or some other substance, and taking vitamin C will neutralize the toxins largely, and it will also cause the rashes, etc., and the free radicals to be broken down. So it'll decrease the actual condition, plus it will reduce the histamine. So next, constipation. Now, I spoke a bit earlier about a situation with the bowel tolerance test. Now, many people are constipated, and that's one of man's worst enemies. Because if you're constipated, or I'm constipated, the problem is that we're not releasing the toxins out of our bodies. So we get auto-intoxication in a case like that. Now, auto-intoxication is when the body reabsorbs toxins from the feces which are in the colon. So that reabsorption can make us extremely toxic with all kinds of toxins that should have been excreted. Now, vitamin C can be used for constipation. Aside from helping to neutralize those toxins, what it actually does is it actually can cause bowel movement. So instead of diarrhea, we increase the vitamin C, and you'd have to use the powder, a powder form normally, depending on the person. Some people with one capsule of 600 milligrams can have a bowel movement, but others might need much more. So in a case of constipation, what could happen is you could increase your vitamin C until you have bowel movements. And that would solve your constipation issue without taking dangerous drugs. Certain drugs have been shown to be carcinogenic, and it's not good to take drugs for constipation continuously. Even herbs, one shouldn't be really taking them over long periods of time. So vitamin C could be an answer. It's also works well taken with magnesium. So magnesium oxide is very good because it takes the fluids into the colon. So that's another condition that that can be treated with vitamin C. Right, now what about kidney stones? You know, we've heard a story that kidney stones can be caused by high doses of vitamin C or ascorbic acid. The truth of the matter is that that's completely false. Absolutely false. And the reason is that people have made assumptions that this is what happens, but it's actually exactly the opposite, because vitamin C increases urine flow. So increasing urine flow is excellent for getting rid of anything that might form stones. It also lowers the urine pH. Now lowering the urine pH assists in making the kidneys far more healthy than we would have them otherwise. And it prevents calcium from binding to the urinary oxalates. So there can be no binding to form stones with as far as oxalates are concerned. So they actually it actually prevents kidney stones from being formed. Now, sometimes you get cloudy urine, and that's associated with low vitamin C. So 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day for a few days should or would normally clear the cloudy urine. So kidney stones are another condition that can be treated. Now, cigarette smoking is another issue that that is a problem. And if people smoke, they should certainly stop smoking almost immediately, or immediately if possible, because every single cigarette that a person smokes, the body loses at least 25 milligrams of vitamin C. So that's why you find a smoker has lots and lots of wrinkles. Every time they puff away, they lose 25 milligrams. Now, the recommended daily dose is supposed to be 100 milligrams. Now, we know that that's not therapeutic, and it's way, way, way too low to have much effect on the actual body. So imagine if you took 25 or 100 milligrams of vitamin C a day, and you lost 25, and you were a smoker and you smoked 4 cigarettes a day, you would have depleted all your intake of vitamin C. So it's no wonder that cigarette smoking causes cancer, because it does a number of things. It depletes the collagen, destroys the collagen, so cancer can run rife in the body. And it's not just lung cancer, it's the whole body. Because what smoking does, the actual smoke gets into the lungs and it depletes the oxygen levels in the blood. So the hemoglobin is no longer carrying as much oxygen. And so we know for a fact, and it's been proven by Dr. Otto Warburg in the 1930s, where he won the Nobel Prize twice for his work on cell respiration, that low oxygen levels cause cancer. And whatever is causing low oxygen levels is the root cause of cancer. That he proved before the Second World War. So if your oxygen levels are low, then your cellular oxygen levels are low. The levels drop below 65%, the oxygen levels in the cells, then cancer will form. It's not a matter of choice or it will form. And that's a fact. So that's why it's important for smokers to give up smoking. And high doses of vitamin C would be necessary for any smoker if they didn't give up, because they would need to replace 25 milligrams for every cigarette they smoke in a day. So you get these high chain smokers who smoke continuously 50, 60 a day, and you find that their vitamin C levels are very low. So what would happen would be the veins and the arteries would become damaged, and that's why heart disease is one of the large problems with smoking, cancer, etc. So in the 1950s, we saw that doctors were recommending certain cigarette brands, and they didn't realize, or they were paid money to promote cigarette smoking. It was only later that they found out that it was one of the biggest causes of cancer in the 50s and the 60s. Okay, heroin addiction. Everybody knows that heroin is an addictive drug. And from a physical point of view, vitamin C can assist tremendously in getting a person off heroin. Now, what you need to do with heroin is you would need certain amino acids or protein and B vitamins and 10 grams per day of vitamin C of the heroin addict away. So the amino acids are important, because when a person starts to take a drug like heroin, the brain stops producing certain amino acids, acetylcholine, dopamine, etc., a number of amino acids. And if it's not producing them, then the body's own endorphins, which are its natural morphine, is reduced to nothing. So the reason that people go through tremendously strong withdrawal symptoms is because the body is not producing its own morphine. So all the pains in the body are not being negated by the endorphins. And that can last for a few days. And that's why you hear of people coming off heroin cold turkey. And the reason it's cold turkey is because of the loss of production of the amino acids. And your 10 grams plus amino acids plus vitamin B will help to solve that problem, the addiction problem. Okay, sudden death syndrome. Now we all know that sudden infant death syndrome has been a problem for years, and that is a situation where a baby just dies in the cot. And studies were carried out on Aboriginal babies, and they found that by adding vitamin C to the baby's bottles, the sudden death, infant death rate dropped by 50%. So 50% of babies that were dying per 1,000, the number per 1,000 dropped by 50%. So that is a tremendous win for mothers who won't know why their babies suddenly die. And one of the causes is lack of vitamin C in their diet. Stretch marks. Mothers will know about this, where after having had a child, the collagen is damaged and you get the stretch marks. Now, taking vitamin C can help to remove those stretch marks. So it'll negate costly laser treatments, etc. And it will help to stop those stretch marks and smoothen out the skin, because there's a huge improvement in collagen production. Brain functions next. Now, vitamin C is important because it helps with the synthesis of neurotransmitters, which are vital to brain function. And they have a tremendous effect on mood. So vitamin C and stress and mood, etc., are extremely important. Now, without the neurotransmitters, the synapses won't fire correctly, and you'll have cognitive issues, you'll have stress issues, your brain will be slower, the functioning of the brain will be not nearly as good as it would be with high doses of vitamin C, or even 1,000 milligrams per day, or a little bit more. One should take at least 1,000 to 2,000 for this kind of issue, even for the blood vessels as well. Now, energy. The vitamin C helps to synthesize carnitine, and it helps with the energy production of ATP in the mitochondria. So if an athlete wants to perform well, it's important that that athlete would take vitamin C. And it's probably the most important vitamin of the lot when it comes to taking vitamins and minerals. So vitamin C is extremely important, and I'm not saying that the others aren't important, but I'm saying in combination, vitamin C should be of high priority if one wants to not become part of the statistic where 50% of people die because of low vitamin C. So that's the end of the immune system. There, we've still got another one. Okay, so it enhances the immune system, and the immune system is so important for so many functions. We've seen that it's winter now, and people who take vitamin C throughout winter generally won't get sick with colds and flu and whatever else there might be coming around. So it's very important for us in winter to make certain we take a daily dose of vitamin C. Some people might have an effect, very few, but some people find that because it increases energy, there could be an issue with falling asleep. So it might be better to take the vitamin C in the morning for people like that. But it's important and extremely valuable to take vitamin C daily. And that's the end of the slideshow for tonight. I kept it that long because I thought if there were questions, we could answer them.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you very much, Dr. Steve.
Pleasure, Tandy Michelle.
Great. I'm just going to, can you end the screen share so we can see your lovely face?
Yeah, let's see. How do I do that?
There at the very top, there's a green button.
Okay, one sec.
Yeah.
Let's just get, okay.
Right.
Okay, stop sharing. Okay, great.
There we go. Who's got a question for Dr. Steve? That was flippin' interesting.
Yes, I have one.
Okay, go for it, Philip.
Steve, just a question. Right in the beginning, you mentioned that you add some calcium to the vitamin C to get the acidity level right. But what if you take your vitamin C from just fruit? So you're not taking a tablet. What happens then?
Okay, 100 years ago, that was quite possible. The modern farming methods, etc., have created a problem because you don't get nearly as much vitamin C in your oranges and whatever it is now. So yes, that is the ideal way. And 100 years ago, 200 years ago, people used to do that and they could live on that. Our ancestors, when they were hunter-gatherers, used to eat mostly fruit and vegetables, especially fruit. And that was very, very high in vitamin C. Today, the vitamin C level is not even a quarter of what it was years ago. For example, they often use fertilizers when growing plants with vitamins in. And the fertilizers kill the earthworms, which destroy the actual way the mulch is formed. So the little bugs and earthworms are killed, and we hardly get any vitamins that is absorbable by the plants. So you can take a farm that's doing it organically, and if they're doing it correctly and organically, you can possibly do it, but you'd have to eat your 8 servings at least, maybe more. Now, I heard a statistic a few years ago where they said you'd have to eat 100 oranges compared to the oranges of 100 years ago, compared to one orange 100 years ago. So that's the problem, is the nutritional value. If you go in and buy your oranges from commercially raised farms, and that's all the large supermarkets use that, and then your vitamins are very, very depleted. So yeah, was possible, not anymore.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Okay, Gideon?
Yes, good evening. I came in a bit late, so Dr. Steve has already answered one of my questions. And but I want to ask something else. Maybe I've missed it. If we need to take in vitamin C, is there something else that we need to take in together with it so it gets absorbed better into the body, or just plain vitamin C, either powder form or in some form? Is it good enough?
Okay.
Because I know,
yeah. Carry on.
I know there's some vitamins that needs to be taken in cohesion with other stuff. It's sometimes a bit tricky, and it gets more trickier as we get older. but what is the standard? Is there something that must be taken with the vitamin C in order to get it absorbed properly?
You can take vitamin C by itself. Obviously, it does work in conjunction with others, but for the absorption, vitamin C helps other vitamins to be absorbed. So in other words, it absorbs very well. We spoke about the bowel tolerance test. You can tell very well that it's absorbed. If you just take enough vitamin C and you have diarrhea, you'll know it's being absorbed. So it's not necessarily the case that you have to do that. In some of our products, we actually put vitamin C into the products so that other vitamins and amino acids are absorbed better.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Anyone
Yeah.
else with a question?
I have a question. I have a friend who swears blind that eating meat, red meat specifically, is way healthier than eating vegetables, fruit, etc. We have this ongoing sort of arguments, but one thing I must say is that she looks amazing. She's 72 years old. She's got a body of a young woman. Her skin is beautiful. Her hair is getting thicker. She claims that she was a vegan and all her children were vegans, and some of them still are. And she then started getting leaky gut syndrome. So she then, struggled for a while until she came across this high meat, high protein, well, meat. She eats no vegetables, as I said, no supplements. And she was here last week. She spends a couple of days with me every time she comes from the Piketberg. And I had to ask the question because when I look at her, she's a walking testament of a healthy person. Her mind is as clear as a bell. How does one answer that? If I had to say to her, do you know what I heard about this vitamin C and all its benefits? She's going to laugh at me. Can you share some sort of light on the carnivore diet? And I'm not, talking about diet as such, because her diet won't include vitamin C, or is there any form of vitamin C in meat?
Right. First of all, you said she was a vegan before she became a meat eater. So first of all, what happens is the reason that you have a problem with vegans is that all they do is cut out meat. Now, if you are a vegan, you need to eat large quantities of vegetables and fruits, and you need to supplement with in any case. So the whole point is that if you're going to want to do a vegan or vegetarian diet, what you need to do is you need to get enough nutrients. So you need to work quite hard by juicing, etc. Now, as far as carnivore diet goes, some people can survive quite well on that. If you look at the blood types, the O blood types can probably survive pretty well on that. But as a general term, generally, people will struggle over the long term. There are two schools of thought on that. I think that you'll find that the one school of thought will do what she's doing, and some people will do well, but other people won't. So each person is different. I know of another person who swears absolutely the same on that form of diet, and he says it's helped him with leaky gut, etc. And he's doing well on it. But in general, people will do better getting all their nutrients in over the long term. Certainly, as far as blood vessels, etc. go, one doesn't know what's happening in the long term. I have a friend, and he smoked from when we were at school until 2 years ago. And he was healthy. He never missed a day's work. And one day he had a massive heart attack. All his arteries were blocked. But he'd been healthy up until that point. So a person looking and feeling healthy, he felt healthy, smoking. And the day he was lying in hospital with pipes sticking out of every part of his body, just about, he realized that you can't do these type of things in the long term. Now, if he feels like a smoker, he looks at the image of himself in hospital with those tubes sticking out of his body. So all I'm saying is some people can do better than others on that kind of diet, but the majority of them won't be able to.
Yeah, that's what I sort of tell her, but she won't. Yeah, she is so, caught into this meat thing, and how many people and how many friends that she's changing their diet and becoming amazing. It's quite a conundrum for me to sort of figure all of this out.
Yeah, it's a short-term thing. You can survive on that for a short term, but what will it be like in 10 years' time?
Yeah, well, this was something I thought as well, and I think you're right. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. I mean, meat is not easy to digest.
No.
And especially red meat. Digesting a lot of red meat can make the body work very, very hard and stress a lot of cells in the body.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Right, who's next? Okay. I don't have any questions because she actually answered all my questions during the talk.
Good.
Yeah, I had quite bad issues with vomiting every time I had vitamin C for quite a few years prior to having my thyroid removed. And subsequently, it doesn't do the same anymore. So I'm a lot better now. My health is tremendously improved. And I used to get cramps that actually hurt the ligaments. So now it's all adding up in my mind as to what was also happening in my body. Because obviously it's also adrenal fatigue connected to that, all of that.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you were taking ascorbic acid rather than your buffered vitamin C or calcium ascorbate, which is the same thing, then that can also cause a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all adding up. It's quite amazing. So thank you very much. Donnie.
Yes, Dr. Steve, very, very interesting tonight. Very interesting. Sorry, just to add on what who was the guy earlier spoke. I can't remember. Anyway,
Gideon.
He was also asking. Say again.
I said it was Gideon.
Gideon, yeah. He was asking about the vitamin C, but we lack to tell him about the buffered vitamin C. So I assume that the buffered vitamin C is the actual better version of it, because I remember a friend of mine here in Bethel told me that during this this COVID thing, he bought a lot of vitamin C, and every morning he lined everyone up there on the farm and gave them the dose, and it wasn't 100 years everyone was sitting with a pain. So they realized it was the vitamin C that does it, but that did it. But obviously it wasn't the buffered vitamin C. So he got the wiser and got the buffered, and then it went well. So it's very important to know the difference between the buffered vitamin C and the normal vitamin C.
Yeah, so you'll see calcium ascorbate on the container, which is the buffered one, not ascorbic acid.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. That's very interesting. Because if I listen to the whole talk that you had, it goes so far. Talking about the collagens, my wife said with problem with all the as I always say, all the skeniere that's not lekker. And I assume it's maybe a lack of vitamin C that created a lot of other deficiencies.
Yeah, so that's it's a starting point. So vitamin C is probably the most important vitamin you can take, but one should add E and other vitamins and A, etc. But this is something that is highly important, because if your collagen breaks down in your blood vessels, you've got a major problem.
Yeah, and that's also again most of the problems is the cholesterol thing and the collagen thing and all things, but except there is a lot of things except the vitamin C. So that's just a very interesting angle that you came on today.
Yeah, you see, your cholesterol shouldn't be too low. The numbers they talking about cholesterol under 4, that's way too low. Every cell in your body uses cholesterol. Your brain uses cholesterol. If you get people taking statins, they often will lose their memory. Certain statins, and that's because the cholesterol is so low that the brain doesn't have the fats to actually produce a decent cognitive function.
Yes. Other thing that maybe, Dr. Steve, if you at another stage could talk to us about enzymes. I thought quite a while ago I was doing a study on enzymes, and that was also a brand new, very interesting field. But I was looking for a generic kind of enzyme, and I kind of discovered that there's nothing like a generic enzyme, except if you want to go to a red one every evening, or something like that.
Yeah, so we can look at that if Tandi Michelle wants to.
Yes, I want you to. And I'm also thinking another one, because so many of us are wearing glasses, or even just using readers. Maybe something about eyesight, things that can improve eyesight.
Yeah, there are a number of things one can do. Yeah.
So we've got to pack our tool belt with things that can really benefit us, so we can learn and help ourselves. Yes. This was amazing. Thank you very much.
That's a pleasure.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll do another one, Dr. Steve. We'll schedule one. I'll message you. Thank you, everybody. Let's all have a good evening and be strong through the load shedding. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, guys.
Good
Bye.
night. Thank you, Dr. Steve.
Pleasure. Thanks. Good night.
Good night.